This live recording is from Jubilee Church, Solihull, a community of people that know who we are, what we've got, and what we're called to do.
I love Easter time, and I think I prefer it to Christmas. Because everything's changing, isn't it? We're coming into the time where things are growing in the garden, and bulbs are popping up, blossom on the trees, the magnolias are out, the days are getting lighter, and the sun is coming out, which for me is just wonderful. But also, it's not just about the change of season, is it? Easter is about new beginnings and new life and a promise of better things to come, and it's about hope. Which is why we often have baptisms on Easter Sunday, because it fits. Baptism is a symbol of the new life we have in Jesus, the transformed life that he gives us, and hope for the future. So this morning I'm going to share a little bit of Mary Magdalene's story of meeting the risen Jesus, and I'm also going to share a little bit of my story too. Mary's story was one of meeting Jesus and life transformation, and that's my story too. Jesus has changed my life. I can't possibly tell you everything. I would be here for a very long time. But I hope that what I share today helps you see something of who Jesus is and the difference he makes to lives today. He really is alive, and he's changing lives. And I believe that he can change yours too. My story can be your story. So the story of Mary finding the empty tomb and meeting the risen Jesus has already been shared this morning, but I want to focus on that last verse, verse 18. Mary Magdalene found the disciples and she told them, "I have seen the Lord." And then she gave him his message. So who was Mary Magdalene? She was the first person that Jesus appeared to after he had risen from the dead. And we know from the gospel accounts that Mary was a devoted follower of Jesus and that Jesus had transformed her life. He had set her free from things that had controlled her and from things that influenced how she lived in a negative way. And he had given her hope. And Mary wasn't a person of great importance. She wasn't a great influencer or a celebrity. She didn't have an important role in society. And we don't even know if she had a family. She was perhaps an unremarkable woman, but she had a remarkable story. Jesus chose Mary to be the first person he appeared to after he'd risen from the dead. He didn't appear to those disciples. They went home. They missed out. But Mary was there, and he chose her, a woman with no particular credentials or status. In first century Israel, we know that women were not even considered reliable enough to be witnesses. And yet Jesus came to her first. That's so significant. And I wasn't anyone in particular either when Jesus revealed himself to me. I was a young teenage girl from a working class family. I'd grown up during my early years, mostly living in a small flat with my two brothers and younger sister above the family fish and chip shop. My mum and dad had separated when I was 11, and we moved, me and my sister and my mum, we moved to live with my nan. There was certainly nothing special about me. And then Jesus came and revealed who he was. I was unremarkable, like Mary. But he's given me a remarkable story. When I was a teenager, I had the usual struggles, maybe more. I was a bit mixed up. I was unsure of who I was and the purpose of life. My dad had struggled with his mental health after he and my mum separated, and he made some really bad decisions, which affected me hugely and made me wonder if my own dad loved me. But at that point, Jesus chose to reveal himself to me, and he transformed my life. And that's what the people who are getting baptised today are also saying, that Jesus has chosen them and changed their life. And do you know that Jesus chooses you too? Maybe you're here this morning simply to hear that. like he chose Mary, and he chose me. And you know, we can come as we are. There are no requirements for us to be anyone special. It's nothing to do with our achievements or efforts or background. He chooses us. Why? Because he loves us and he cares for us. And we see that here. Jesus cared for Mary. He asked her why she was crying and who she was looking for, which I think is a bit of an unusual question at that point. Usually if someone's at a tomb or a graveside and they're crying, it's kind of an easy guess that someone close to them has died. But Jesus was interested in her feelings. He cared for her and he wanted to know what was upsetting her. He recognised her emotions by asking, "Why are you crying?" And Jesus has done this for me too, time after time after time. He has revealed his love and care for me. I've had lots of heartache over the years, and I've been full of emotional pain and hurt at times, crying and weeping, questioning and searching. But he has come close to me in those times of pain. He's recognised who I am, he's recognised my feelings and showed his care. Not just that first time when I met him, but all through my life, he has come close and shown his care for me. So in 2001, actually, I worked it out, and it was 25 years ago yesterday, my dad was working in his garage in the evening, and he was attacked by a stranger, a man who we later found out was seriously mentally ill from illegal drug use. It was a horrific, violent attack, and it was reported in the media at the time, and he was in a coma on the brink of life and death for 3 weeks, and he suffered long-term effects afterwards. Now, I won't go into all the details, but I know what it's like to be traumatised. Seeing someone you love who has been violently assaulted in this way, I was overcome and overwhelmed with grief. And more than that, I was shocked at the horrific suffering that a human can do to someone else. Like Mary, I had seen the brutal effects of violence. Remember, she had just seen him crucified. And I knew some of that emotional pain and suffering too. But Jesus came close, again and again, and he revealed his care for me. He was interested in me, like he did for Mary. So you might have times where you're hurting, you might be weeping at times, you might be grieving and missing someone, you might be searching. But Jesus says to you, like he did to Mary, "Dear one, why are you crying? What or who are you looking for?" When I first read that when I was a teenager, I was like, why would Jesus say that? Like, pull yourself together, why are you crying? And then I realised he wasn't saying it in that way. He's not saying what's the matter with you. He's asking with care. He's saying, tell me about it. Tell me about your pain. Tell me why you're crying. And he comes close. And Jesus listens to Mary's answer. And then he calls her by her name. Mary. He didn't say, "It's me, Jesus." He called her. He recognised and identified her. I was thinking about this. I was thinking, we all know who King Charles is. We read about him, we hear about him, he's in the news, and we'd probably all recognise him if he walked in. If we were to meet him, he probably wouldn't need to explain who he is. But if he said, "Hello, Jodie," man, I'd be shocked. That means he knows who I am. That's significant. And in the same way, Jesus called Mary's name. In his kindness and care, he called. He knew who she was and he recognised her. Maybe you need to know that this morning. Maybe you need to know that Jesus sees you. Maybe you need to know that he knows your name. I remember the evening when I first heard Jesus call my name. I was about 14 and at a Christian youth club when someone was talking about Jesus' love. And I remember clearly feeling that Jesus knew who I was. It was such a revelation. He cared for me and he called my name. And he does the same for you today, whether you've never heard that call before or whether you have, and he's calling you again. Because when he calls your name, you know that you are seen. You know that you are loved. You know that he cares for you. He identifies you. And then you can turn towards him, like Mary did. So Jesus chose Mary. He cared for her and he called her by name. I've heard him again and again over the years ask me why I'm crying, ask me what I'm searching for, calling my name. And it's not been easy, and I can't say that my situation miraculously changed, but knowing Jesus has helped me and got me through, because he is so kind and merciful. And what was Mary's response? She went to tell the other disciples, I have seen the Lord. And she shared the message with them. And that's why I'm here this morning, to tell you that I have seen the Lord and to pass on his message. I've known Jesus' care and his calling. He has chosen me, little insignificant daughter of a fish and chip shop owner with no Christian or church background at all. And today we're baptising two people who have also heard Jesus call their names. They know that they are chosen by him. They know that he cares for them and they're responding by being publicly baptised. And that's their way of saying, I have seen the Lord, and passing on his message. So maybe you're here this morning and you're feeling that calling of Jesus in your heart. Could you possibly dare to believe that he has called and chosen you? Like he chose Mary, like he chose me, and like lots of other people here would also say the same. Can you sense his care? Can you hear him calling for the first or the 100th time? He comes close in intimacy and acknowledges who you are in your brokenness and confusion, and he brings freedom, he gives you an identity, and he brings healing. And when you respond to him, and when you turn to him, like Mary did, and like I did, he asks you to then pass that message on. So he is here. He's alive, and that's what we're celebrating. It's Easter Sunday. He cares, he asks what's troubling you, why you're crying, what you're searching for, and he calls your name. So will you turn towards him today? Will you recognise him? And will you be able to say, like Mary and like me, and like those getting baptised today, I have seen the Lord, and then pass on the message.
Thanks for listening. You can hear more talks and access our blog posts at jubileesolihull.org.